Hello everybody and welcome to the 7th race of the first season of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Music City 400 at Nashville Superspeedway, the third and final race of the Tennessee trifecta. It began at Bristol, then it went to Tennessee Superspeedway, and now we are here at Nashville. But before we look at the starting lineup, let's take a look at the top 20 points going into tonight's race. Tanner Sullivan, after last time at Tennessee Superspeedway, he took over the points lead, and he leads by 35 points over Joshua Collard. Then third is Anthony McCrory, fourth Kyle Matthews, fifth Matt Skoenberger. Sixth is Kev Shearer, seventh John Cittadino, eighth Rafael LeDuc, 9th Austin LaPlante, and 10th is Dylan Young. The rest of the top 20 is Dorian Facepuncher, David Rivera, James McLeod, Chase Oliver, Charles Sanford, Trent Dunham, Preston Plord, DJ Curtis, Dylan Thoreau, and Carson Gum. So with that said, let's take a look at the lineup. Starting in the last row is going to be Dylan Poteet and Austin LaPlante. Top 10, Connor Morgan is on the pole this week. Starting next to him is Jonathan Zorleen. Third is Nathan Hudson. Fourth, Kitten Sky Commons. So that concludes row 2. Row 3 is Jake Baskinger and Seth Cole. Row 4, Chase Oliver and Joshua Collard. And then row 5, Nelson Thornhill and Preston Plord. With that said, let's get the command excuse me, to start the engines here at Nashville.
Riders, start your engines!
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Pace car pulling out of pit road. And we're getting set for our one pace lap. So going into this race, like I said, Joshua Collard, he had a rough time at Tennessee Superspeedway to the point where he lost the points lead, and Tanner Sullivan capitalized on it and took it over. But with how this point system works, it's all about momentum. And also no chase being implemented, so basically you got to treat every race like it's the last race of the season by trying to gain as much as you possibly can to earn points and to get this championship. Next season we will do a chase. Which chase format we will do, that remains to be seen, but the pace car's in pit road, which means it's time to boogity 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 go racing. Well, Connor Morgan led the first lap and pulled away for a little bit, but now Jonathan Zorleen and Sky Commons are trying to figure out a way to get around that number 81. Jonathan Zorleen racing for Furniture Row Racing in the GameStop Toyota. His teammate, one of his teammates out of Furniture Row Racing, is up here in the top 10. Nelson Thornhill, the rookie, who is definitely looking for some momentum after a rough time at Tennessee as well. Almost out of the top 30 in points. So he's definitely one to gain ground to get back into the hunt. And speaking of teammates, Jonathan Zorleen takes the lead over here in Nashville, but Sky Commons is right there to him. Nathan Hudson trying to enter the picture as well. Speaking of Furniture Row Racing, let's see where the third car of that team is running. And that's Matt McIntyre, if he's even in the field. And I don't think he is. I think he failed to qualify. Yeah, he failed to qualify, so only 2 Furniture Row racing cars running up here. Zorleen and Thornhill, who's about to go by Chase Oliver for the 5th position in this race. As the racing's starting to get a little bit spread out up here at the front, the top 14 or so are running single file, and then we got Dylan Young battling with Seth Cole for position. That's for the 15th spot. And then I see Chris Michaels in the 14 starting to make his way up there. But right now, Seth Cole just had too big of a run on the high line. And then up here we got a battle for the 8th position as Jake Baskinger just went on by Rafael LeDuc, and now DJ Curtis in the 4 trying to work on trying to find a way around the 27 of LeDuc. Meanwhile, battle for 5th between Tim Walsh and Nathan Hudson, in which Walsh is going to win that battle. And Nelson Thornhill, he seems to have a very strong car right now as he is gaining, or at least he was gaining ground on his teammate, but now he's slipped back a little bit. But let's see what he can do as he lost a little bit of ground to Connor Morgan, the pole sitter in front of him. But now he's starting to reel him back in. It's like he gets such a good run in the middle of 3 and 4 somehow, some way. And then we throw in on top of the fact that this is a close to 1.5 mile racetrack. It's like sort of like in between a mile and 1.5 miles. I'm not particularly sure on how big it is, but nonetheless, it is still a pretty quick racetrack. As meanwhile, this battle for 3rd has turned into a 3-car fight between Morgan, Thornhill, and Walsh, as Tim Walsh has entered into the picture, and he's trying to find a way around both drivers, and he's going to the bottom underneath both guys. That is for the 3rd position, and now Nathan Hudson is in the picture. Meanwhile, Sky Commons still in 2nd with Zorleen in the lead, as Zorleen has led every lap since passing Connor Morgan, I believe, on lap 3. Meanwhile, the battle for 4th rages on between Thornhill and Morgan, as Thornhill with the run on the inside this time, and he's going to go by the 81 of Connor Morgan. Battle for 5th is now Nathan Hudson trying to get a run underneath the 81. And then what's the next battle we got on track? John Cittadino and Seth Cole for what looks like the 18th spot, with Cittadino running the bottom, and he definitely goes by. Excuse me. As meanwhile, Zorleen has just been pulling away from Sky Commons, but Tim Walsh and Nelson Thornhill are trying to run down the 41 of Commons to make it a 3-car battle for the 2nd position, as Zorleen has just been pulling away, but a caution is out. What in the world is a caution out for? I don't see any smoke or any damaged race cars. Could it have been like a solo car spin with the 22 of JT Bryant? That seems to be the most likely scenario. But everybody's going to be coming into pit road to try to top off on gas, because they were probably going to be about 6 laps short on gas for the most part. So they're going to try and risk it and come into pit road this time for their one and only pit stop. And Jonathan Zorleen was the leader, but now we shall see if he can keep that lead by getting out of pit road in time. As we're going to go to the pit lane number 1 camera for the best view of the battle out of pit road. Excuse me again. Oh, Tim Walsh is going to get out first. He must have went with gas only. Interesting strategy among these cars. And oh, contact on pit road between a couple cars. But anyways, the top 5 when we get back racing is going to be Tim Walsh, Sky Commons, Jonathan Zorline, DJ Curtis, and Nelson Thornhill. That's going to be the top 5. But let's go ahead and take a look at a replay to find out what it was that brought the caution out for the first time tonight here at Nashville. Well, the reason why there was no replay is because no cars wrecked or spun, which is what I figured. So I guess I'm being told that it was a debris caution that came out. But anyway, Tim Walsh is going to be your race leader when we get back racing. Second is Jonathan Zorline. Third is Sky Commons. Fourth, DJ Curtis. Fifth, Connor Morgan. Sixth is Nelson Thornhill. Seventh, Nathan Hudson. Eighth, Sean Henley. Ninth, Jake Baskinger. 10th, Chase Oliver. The rest of the top 20 is Preston Plord, James Qualls, Devin Becker, Austin LaPlante, John Cittadino, Joshua Collard, Rafael Leduc, Chris Michaels, David Rivera, and Joshua Michaels. The rest of the top 30 will be the points leader Tanner Sullivan, Anthony McCurry, James McLeod, Matt Skoenberger, Dylan Poteet, Seth Cole, Dylan Thoreau, Dylan Young, Benjamin Miles, Jessica Shelton. As there you see the rest of the field. Pace car in the pit road. Green flag is back out. Tim Walsh leads, and he got a nice restart right there. But now let's see if anybody behind the 15 can run him down, and I think they can, but I don't know, because Tim Walsh up at the front where that clean air is, he can just keep pulling away. But at the same time, he didn't take tires. And the caution is back out. Oh, we got our crash! A hard crash! Kyle Matthews, Carson Gum, and Kev Shearer were involved. Now that time, that's a real caution for a crash. And it looked like a hard crash because I saw the 09 up in the air. Wonder what happened back there. It looked like it might have happened out here on the backstretch. There it is, the tire marks. So let's go ahead and take a look at a replay of what brought the caution out for the second time tonight here at Nashville. Well, here's a look at what happened. They were attempting 3 wide between Kyle Matthews, Jessica Shelton, and Dylan Young. And right there, some contact between all 3 of those cars to the point where it sent Kyle Matthews around. And then he gets a little hit from Trent Dunham to send him even more spinning. And then right there, that is a hard hit into the driver's side door by Kev Shearer. Almost flipped the 09 over. It was just pirouetting on both sides of the car. And then it comes back up the track, collects the 19 of Carson Gum and the 22 of JT Bryant. But luckily, JT kept it straight. Same with the 19, but the 19 got more damage than the 22. But man, that was a pretty hard crash for the 09. He got hit in the driver's side door and nearly flipped over, and it was pirouetting on both sides of the race car. So there's a good chance he might be out of the race. I don't know. I don't see any engine smoke. He might be able to continue. I'm not entirely sure. But I do have a feeling that Kev Shearer will be out because he hit pretty hard. But let's go ahead and take you back to the restart here at Nashville. Well, we are past the halfway point here at Nashville, and 2 cars are out of the race. And they include Kev Shearer and Kyle Matthews as a result of that crash. But when we get back racing, it'll be 18 to go. As in the meantime, the lineup: Tim Walsh is your leader. Second, Jonathan Zorline. Third, Sky Commons. Fourth, DJ Curtis. Fifth, Connor Morgan. Sixth, Nathan Hudson. Seventh, Nelson Thornhill. Eighth, Sean Henley. Ninth, Jake Baskinger. 10th, Chase Oliver. And then the rest of the top 20 is Preston Plord, Devin Becker, John Cittadino, James Qualls, Chris Michaels, Joshua Collard, Rafael Leduc, David Rivera, Joshua Michaels, Tanner Sullivan. Rest of the top 30 is James McLeod, Dylan Poteet, Anthony McCurry, Matt Skoenberger, Seth Cole, Dylan Thoreau, Benjamin Miles, Dylan Young, Trent Dunham, Jessica Shelton. And then the rest of the cars left on the track are Kyle Keith, Charles Sanford, Johnny Gardner, Dorian Facepuncher, Steven Guerrero, Sean Galligan, Nick Gunther, JT Bryant, Austin LaPlante, and Carson Gum. Green flag is back out, but Tim Walsh didn't quite get going on that restart. And now here comes Jonathan Zorleen back underneath the 15 to try and retake the lead that he had early on, but now Sky Commons is trying to get in there too. Excuse me. As Zorleen has the lead, but we'll see how much he can pull away this time, as now Sky Commons takes second, and he's coming pretty quickly to that 87. Excuse me. Connor Morgan goes by Tim Walsh for position. And that is for third. And as we're going to have a battle for fourth between Tim Walsh and Nathan Hudson, as Nelson Thornhill trying to get by DJ Curtis for the sixth position. Right now that high line, at least for a moment or two, it can hold pretty strongly. As now we are about to have potentially a battle for the second spot between Commons and Morgan, as these have been the top three cars most of the night. Tim Walsh is starting to slip back, as now Nelson Thornhill with a run underneath for the fifth position. Nathan Hudson kind of trying to pull away from everybody and also trying to gain ground on the leaders. And now Zorleen leads by a little over 0.3 of a second. As you can definitely tell Carson Gum is slowing off the pace after that crash that happened a little bit ago. Nelson Thornhill into the fifth position, and then it's Nathan Hudson, Connor Morgan, Sky Commons, Jonathan Zorleen up in the top five, as it is spread out big time up here at the front. Whoa, and a big checkup right there by Sean Henley, as he almost got into, looked like James Qualls he about got into, as they're three wide down the backstretch. It might settle out, and it does settle out the double wide. It was between Raphael LeDuc, Chase Oliver, and Preston Plord, and they somehow did not crash, like what we saw a little bit ago with Sheldon Matthews and D. Young. Meanwhile, all throughout the field, it's pretty close. Oh, more three wide between three Fords, two of them teammates, LeDuc and Rivera from Roush, and then Collard from Petty. They were three wide and they did not wreck somehow, some way. And as I say that, Sky Commons might have something for that 87 of Zorleen. He cut that lead in less than half. But let's see if Sky Commons can make something happen in order to try to get by that dominant 87. And the caution is back out again. And it's for James McLeod going around. So that potential battle for the lead just got taken away from the 41. I bet that was not what the 41 wanted to see, that caution come out, because he was gaining on that 87 car. But it looked like a solo car spin, although there's some driver side damage to the 51. Could have been from contact with somebody, but Jonathan Zorleen is your leader at the moment, so let's take a look at a replay of what brought the caution out for the third time tonight here at Nashville. Well, this looks like a similar situation to what happened with Kyle Matthews, but this time McLeod was sort of the meat in the sandwich between Gardner and Becker, but I think it was because Gardner came up into the 51 into the 84, and that's what sent that 51 car spinning. But look at these two, Dorian Facepuncher and Chris Michaels, somehow, someway went through the grass and did not spin, and when they came back up the racetrack, everybody did a fantastic job to not hit anybody. And look at JT Bryant, puts on the brakes, and it wasn't really a bad stack-up effect. Everybody gave room for everybody to slow down in time. So that was some good driving on the part of those guys. But let's go ahead and take you to the restart here in Nashville. Well, no more cars are out of the race after what we had happen just a little bit ago, but next time by will be 7 to go here at Nashville, so last chance for guys to make something happen. Jonathan Zorline is your leader, second is Sky Commons, third is Connor Morgan, fourth Nathan Hudson, fifth Nelson Thornhill, sixth Jake Baskinger, seventh DJ Curtis, eighth Tim Walsh, ninth James Qualls, 10th Sean Henley, and the rest of the top 20s Rafael LeDuc, David Rivera, Preston Plore, Joshua Collard, Dylan Poteet, Chase Oliver, Seth Cole, Dylan Thoreau, Benjamin Miles, Johnny Gardner. That's the top 20. Rest of the top 30 is John Cittadino, Tanner Sullivan, Devin Becker, Trent Dunham, Dorian Facepuncher, Matt Skoenberger, Charles Sanford, Anthony McCrory, Steven Guerrero, and Jessica Shelton. Rest of the cars in the field are Joshua Michaels, Chris Michaels, JT Bryant, Sean Galligan, Dylan Young, Kyle Keith, Nick Gunther, James McLeod, Carson Gum, and Austin LaPlante. And the green flag is back out, and wow, I don't know if Zorline got off to a better jump or the 41 spun his tires and didn't get going. I think from the looks of it, the 41 just spun his tires and lost a ton of time to that 87. But I'll tell you who did get a good restart, that 78 of Nelson Thornhill got going, and now he's working on trying to clear the 7 of Nathan Hudson for that 4th position. And he doesn't have him quite cleared yet, but maybe by the time we get out of turn 2, he might be able to make it happen. And yes, he is going to have him cleared now. But despite Commons' mishap on that restart, he's kind of still in the mix. Only 2 tenths behind the 87. But then you got Connor Morgan that you got to deal with, and now Nathan Hudson trying to take back that 4th spot from Thornhill. Hudson somehow, I guess, did a crossover move, and we didn't get to see it. But it's a close battle between those two for position on the track. Let's see if Thornhill can maybe pull off the same move that the 7 did. Although he's going up high, though he had a huge run on the high line. But it ain't going to work this time. Back up here at the front, top 3 are separated 3 tenths of a second apiece. And because of these two, Thornhill and Hudson fighting, they are losing ground to the leaders fast. But meanwhile, Sky Commons starting to lose ground to the 87 just a little bit. As I'm looking around to see what all battles are going on, we do got plenty of them. Mainly towards the back of the field as they were 3 wide for a second. Whoa, Austin LaPlante pulling down off the track into the access road. Oh, could that mean that these guys may not have enough gas for the rest of the way? This could be a sign of something big happening. I don't know. That's going to be interesting. Do these drivers and these leaders have enough gas for the rest of the race? That, or it could have been the 5 being forced down into that access road. That could have been the case. And he decided to just come into pit road. But it's 2 to go here at Nashville. Sky Commons trying to gain as much time as he can back on the 87, but nothing seems to be computing quite just yet. I don't see anybody else. LaPlante going back down in the access road. There must be something mechanically wrong with the 5, and that's why he's going into pit road. But the white flag is out for Jonathan Zorline. Zorline has just been too strong out there at the front whenever he gets up there. Sky Commons trying to give it all he's got, but I don't think it's going to be enough. He gained a little bit right there in the middle of the corner, but it ain't going to be enough to get him. Coming out of turn number 4, taking the checkered flag, Jonathan Zorline wins the Music City 400 at Nashville in dominating fashion. First career win in the series for Jonathan Zorline. What a performance that was also. I mean, holy cow. But let's look at the rest of the results. Sky Commons comes through with a second place finish. Great finish for him. Connor Morgan, one of the guys who desperately needed a good run, he comes out third. Great fourth place finish for Nathan Hudson, and a great fifth place finish for another guy who needed a good run, Nelson Thornhill, and he was the highest finishing rookie this week. Rest of the top 10, sixth place was Tim Walsh. Solid seventh place finish for David Rivera. Great run in eighth for DJ Curtis. Solid ninth for Sean Henley, and a great run in 10th for James Qualls. Rest of the top 20 was Jake Baskinger, Rafael LeDuc, Benjamin Miles, Joshua Collard, who might gain a little bit on the points lead. And then it was Dylan Thoreau, Seth Cole, Trent Dunham, Dorian Facepuncher, Johnny Gardner, Preston Blord. Rest of the top 30 was Dylan Poteet, Matt Skoenberger, Charles Sanford, Chase Oliver, Devin Becker, Anthony McCrory, Chris Michaels, Steven Guerrero, Tanner Sullivan, John Cittadino, and then the rest of the cars that finished on the lead lap were Jessica Sheldon, JT Bryant, Nick Gunther, Dylan Young, Sean Galligan, Kyle Keith, James McLeod, Joshua Michaels, and Carson Gum. Austin LaPlante would finish 3 laps down. And then the only 2 cars out of the race after the second caution were Kev Shearer and Kyle Matthews. But that does it for our coverage here at Nashville, and that concludes the Tennessee trifecta. Next race, we head to an old favorite, Thornton. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into Thornton, and this is Levi McIntyre, signing off.